Toronto just made this a series again, and James Harden is back in prime playoff form. We saw both teams take care of business at home. That was expected from the Cavs, not so much from Toronto. They do certainly have the advantage right now with momentum on their side. The Cavs were expected to win both games at home. In my mind, they were expected to split the 2 games in Toronto at least and then finish it back home in Cleveland in 5. So heading back to Cleveland tied 2-2 is absolutely not ideal for the Cavs. Game 5 is now a must-win for them. If they let Toronto go up 3-2 with all momentum on their side, heading back to Canada for Game 6, that is going to be a death sentence. The Cavs do not want to be put into that position, so Game 5 is a must-win. Absolutely horrific shooting nights for both teams. A lot of good looks that just didn't fall, but they were also just really locked in defensively, and points were at a premium tonight, which is going to favor the Raptors, who don't have the offensive firepower of the Cavs, but can hang in there if it becomes a bucket-by-bucket game. The Cavs need to get back to dictating the pace on their home floor to really maximize their advantages against Toronto. For tonight, Cleveland having as many turnovers as they did, from Harden and Mitchell especially, and missing so many of their free throws really did sink them in the end. Their execution down the stretch was also just not where it had to be. They had that game firmly in their hands with a few minutes left, and then they really just gave it back to Toronto. The Raptors absolutely should not have come away with that win, but I do applaud them for pulling that one out, and the Cavs just looked really bad last night. Scottie Barnes and CMB both had outstanding games for the Raptors, and none of the Cavs' big four performed nearly as well as they should have. Early on in this series, we saw that Toronto had no answer for Cleveland's bigs, but in Game 3 and Game 4 especially, we really saw Allen and Mobley get taken out of the game by Toronto's physicality. So back home in Cleveland for Game 5, I would like to see the Cavs get Allen and Mobley going early. They don't have a size advantage so much against Pirtle, but they do just have a talent and mobility advantage. And then when Toronto runs those small ball lineups with CMB or Mamu at center, the Cavs just have to match that physicality in the paint, and they should be able to generate a lot of easier looks than they were getting in the 2 games in Toronto. Another big point of emphasis for the Cavs is simply having to hit more threes. If they don't, the Raptors are able to pack the paint, and that does prevent anything easy for Allen or Mobley. And again, they need to get those 2 guys going just to get some easier points at the rim. The shots were simply not falling for either team in Game 4, but that is a bigger disadvantage for the Cavs with so much of their offense predicated on that 5-out offense, or when Allen's on the floor, just 4 out. Even then, though, they have some great shooters on the floor, and they really are trying to maximize those looks. They got lots of good looks yesterday. They just couldn't get any of them to fall. And when that does happen, the court is going to shrink, and Toronto is going to be able to use their physicality to their advantage, which we saw the Cavs just have no answer to, and that was a big component of the Game 4 loss. At points in Game 4, we saw Cleveland just looking at low energy and like they weren't taking the Raptors seriously enough. Toronto was playing with energy all game long, and we saw that with their activity on the offensive glass and getting 5 more O boards than Cleveland and 10 more shots overall, which in a close game like this almost certainly made the difference. Especially with the game ending as close as it did. A few more buckets in either direction could have completely changed things, and the Cavs just absolutely need to get more out of Mitchell and Harden. That was a horrific performance from both of them tonight. We expect that from James Harden in the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell, not so much. Although his teams have never found success in the postseason, he has always been a great individual performer. Last 2 games, he simply has not been at that level. If the Cavs are able to just get back to playing a more loose style of ball, centered on ball movement and generating easy looks, I still don't mind their chances in this series. I do trust Kenny Atkinson to be able to get his guys in line after tonight's pathetic showing, and I'm expecting to see them come out the gates quick in Game 5. The outcome of that game is going to come down to whether or not Toronto can keep it close enough early to claw back into the game once both teams settle in, because I am anticipating a barrage from the Cavs. If at the start of Game 5 they really still cannot get any offense going, then the Raptors really might have solved Cleveland. I am going to have to see Game 5 to have a definitive answer on that. However, for the Raptors, it doesn't seem like BI is going to put forward an efficient game this series, so it becomes a matter of limiting Scotty's offensive impact for the Cavs, and if they can make more of their open looks from three, they should be in great shape to take a 3-2 lead in this series. With all of that said, despite how well Scotty Barnes and CMB have been playing for the Raptors, RJ Barrett is doing his thing as well. We saw Jamison Battle have a big Game 3, but then it was a no-show in Game 4, which was the case for a lot of Toronto's guys. We saw the same thing from the Cavs in Game 4, but on the whole, they do just have more offensive weapons, more offensive firepower. I don't think we see another slugfest like Game 4, so I am taking the Cavs in Game 5, and then I think they can just finish it out in 6. Cleveland did look worn at times in Game 4, but I don't know if the Raptors can keep up their play back in Cleveland with their lack of playoff experience and the atmosphere decidedly against them, especially if the Cavs come out the gates firing like I'm expecting, so I am going to take the Cavs in 6.